Hello and welcome to Associate Gulf Coast Staying Home and Staying Connected webinar series. My name is Alex Turner and I'm a Business Development Manager. Our goal during this COVID pause we are all experiencing is to bring association education to the comfort and safety of your living room. And before we get started today, I want to let you know that Associate Gulf Coast is open for business. We are the leader on COVID-19 information as it relates to your association. If your community needs COVID tools, whether you are an associate client or not, please give me a call. So let's get to our program today. We are so pleased to have Drew Torgerson from Aris Inspections. Drew and I serve on the membership committee for the South Gulf Coast CAI. Drew, we're excited to talk to you today and tell us about you and your company and how it can benefit our associations.
Well, thanks, Alex. I'm looking forward to this too. It is a trying time, obviously, for all of us, and it's been a little disruptive, to say the least. And I know a lot of people are kind of concerned, but business does go on. And just a little bit about us, and I'm not going to go through my background, but Florida law has been real clear that while boards are protected by the board business judgment rule, the Lambda test, as it's known as, every single construction attorney out there will tell you that you must rely on experts. If you're making decisions regarding roofing maintenance, roofing repair, roofing replacement, you need to be involving an expert with that decision. So who do they rely on? Commonly, people have been relying on roofers, but there's an obvious conflict of interest there. Let alone, a board may try, a manager may trust a roofer, a board may even trust a roofing company. That doesn't mean all the residents in the association who are facing an assessment possibly are going to trust that decision because of that interest. The other extreme is an engineering firm, and while you can get good service, obviously, from an engineering firm, there's a relatively high cost involved. I look at it as what you're really looking for is an independent, experienced expert who knows what they're talking about, and that's why we started Aris, and that's where we're coming from in this. We are, unfortunately, all dealing with COVID-19 and how it disrupts our business. We're taking as many steps as we can to eliminate personal contact, and yet we have two huge deadlines that are coming up. That affect boards and prevent boards from sitting idly by and not doing anything. The first one is hurricane season is unfortunately once again right around the corner.
Oh, don't say it! Don't say
it! And it's predicted to be a heavy one. All of the modeling is coming in as above average season because of El Nino and all the other factors. And quite honestly, a hurricane on top of a pandemic is going to be devastating, to say the least. So let's all hope that it doesn't happen. It's going to happen someday, but let's hope that this is not the year.
Drew, our next webinar is going to be called "Good News with Drew."
Yeah, well, they're predicting one major in the United States to make landfall in the United States. So there's a lot of states that are in the hurricane path. Unfortunately, Florida gets the majority of it, but let's hope if it's going to happen somewhere, let's hope it's not here. But regardless, if you're in an association that didn't have damage from Irma, that didn't file a claim from Irma, that didn't that had the damage, even had an adjuster out that said, oh, your damages are minimal, or there's just some repairs, it's not going to meet your deductible. If you did anything at all other than a full roof replacement, it is imperative that you document the condition of your roof prior to storm season. The reason being, if God forbid there is a storm this year, if you do have damages this time, the insurance carrier is going to send out an adjuster and they're going to go, you know what, we can't tell if it's this storm or the last storm. If it's after September 10th, they're more likely to say, you know what, we believe this was from Irma, which was a more major storm than this one. Statute of limitations run too late. So to document that you actually completed the repairs, to document that your roof's in serviceable, good serviceable condition, protects you and make sure that if you do suffer damage, your property is going to be covered. So that's the first factor. And to do this, I partnered up with Eagle Eyes. Eagle Eyes is a dedicated drone service. You know, I work some with drones as well, but this guy, that's all he does. He's wonderful, incredibly competent, and he can fly and map whole communities and do a large community in a day and get all of that footage. Yeah. And he gets perspectives that I, as a roofer, can't get. Climbing up a roof examiner can't get by just climbing on the roof. He can go up to 400 feet above the roof of the structure to get overall views. But through video mapping and through his online storage capacity, he's able to create a visual video record of every square inch of roof of a building or even a full community, and then park it there so that it's there in case this situation happens. And we need to document that. Yeah, there wasn't any pre-existing condition. Yeah, it wasn't, you know, from damage that wasn't repaired before. They did the repairs. So that part's great.
Yeah, that's a great tool, Drew. I never even thought of with your services. Yeah, that's awesome.
His limitation is he's not a roofing expert. He's a video expert. He's a computer expert, but he's not a roofing expert, and he really knows very limited about roofing. So what we do is we combine our services so that he takes the footage, I then scan the footage and create a report, because at times we do discover that, hey, we do have a maintenance issue, or you do have a repair issue that somebody's missed, or things happen over time, you know, big tree branch, palm fronds piling up or blocking things on a roof. So we combine his video, and then I create a report, and between the two of us, we're actually meeting your requirements for that annual inspection to keep it going. The other big thing that's coming up is we do have the statute of limitations. September 10th of this year is the last possible date to file a claim for Hurricane Irma. Now, if you haven't filed up to this point, there's probably a good reason you don't think you have any damage. But what we're seeing is an ungodly amount of pressure coming from attorneys, coming from public adjusters, coming from storm contractors, who, if they didn't get to you on the board, they're getting to your residents in the community, and they're trying to badger you into action. And I have actually been out on a couple cases where they're doing it for good reason, because there actually was damage in the insurance adjuster that was sent out after the storm missed it. But in many cases, I'm being called out to give an independent expert opinion. And what we're finding is that minor repairs may be needed, or no repairs are needed, or there's just nothing there. And getting that independent report gets, if you're on a board, it gets your residents off your back, right? You can hand them a report. It's not the insurance company saying no, it's somebody giving an expert opinion. So that's the other big thing that we have to be moving forward on, because that's, again, not that many months away.
Wow.
So we also, you know, we do annual, oops, I skipped the slide there. We do annual inspections. We do annual inspections. We get involved with reserve studies. We get, you know, involved before, during, and after roofing projects, and those are still going on. So I'm working with a number of associations now, and in putting together bid specs, in reviewing contracts, because they can be all over the place, and making sure things get done right, and then working in conjunction with Eagle Eyes to do these pre-storm surveys at this point. But the real goal is to be doing your annual, this is as part of an annual report. And then the third component to our service package is we've also brought in a company called Kruger Disaster Recovery. They're a dedicated tarping team. That's all they do. They don't sell roofs, they don't install roofs. So it kind of maintains my philosophy of being a truly independent, unbiased source.
Sure.
But they don't use blue tarps. They are a completely different kind of situation. They come out with a much heavier tarp. They guarantee their services. They are trained professionals. Oh, and they're headquartered out of Fort Lauderdale. So if we take a direct hit here, the odds of them also being in a direct hit are very slim. So we'll be able to respond with them right after a storm.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So, I mean, I hope that answered some questions and why we're still busy and working at this time, even though it's difficult, to say the least, for everybody involved.
Sure. Yeah, I just have a couple follow-up questions. I want to take it back to the COVID-19. So let's talk about right now, Drew, when you are, if a board wants to take this time to still engage in your services, you're saying that you can come out and do this without having any kind of contact with anybody. So does that mean you don't access through attics? It's all on the outside, or?
It's all on the outside. We have suspended interior inspections. And I say we've suspended attic inspections, but if I can get in and out of the attic and not have to come into a residence, I'm not going to come into some condo unit, but if I can access it from an open hallway, or some other matter, I'm not opposed to doing that. But we do want to be pretty strict and respectful of people's health and the typical age in Florida, and we want to make sure that we're very respectful of all that.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the other things that I saw that on your, you also do single family homes as well, in addition to condo communities. So I was just thinking that could be really beneficial for someone selling or buying a home to be able to talk to you about getting, like you say, an unbiased opinion on the shape of the roof.
It is, and you'd be surprised how many. I didn't realize this, but how many home inspectors? I would say a majority of home inspectors down here, if you read the report, they put a disclaimer on the roof. They basically say, I looked at the roof from the edge of it, and there's no, and I'm not warranting anything beyond what I could see from the edge of the roof. But it's buried in the middle of the language so that the mortgage companies don't flag it. Nobody's flagging it. The realtor's not flagging it. And if who reads their entire 70-page home inspection report? But in most of them, there is no warranty or report on the condition of the roof.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really great tool. And then as far as annual and semi, this is another question I had. So you answered it during this, but I think this is a great service. I can think of a couple communities that we have with barrel tile roofs that are sitting on the ninth, hole, and are, we have to have, if not semi-annual, even more frequent inspections of the roof to, see what the damage is. So, and in a case like this, is this something you do with the drone, or is this something you do yourself, or a combination of both, or?
A combination of both. It depends on the situation. If it's a tall and steep roof, not likely to have repeat damage, we're going to use the drone. If it's that typical villa on, like you say, on the ninth hole, where normally you're going to come up and find a few cracked or broken tiles, we're going to walk it by foot and probably just go ahead and glue those tiles back together. In many cases, if the pieces of a tile are still sitting there, my personal belief, and I think this is borne up by the Tile Roofing Institute and others, is the damage to the underlayment, which is your real roof, is far greater by removing, cutting off the nail or pulling what's there loose, and sliding in and trying to slide in a new tile, just because of all the movement you're doing. If you could just get the tile pieces back up and glue them together, you're now back to having the UV protection of that underlayment. That's what the tile is there for, as in its functional capacity. It's to provide UV protection to the actual roof that's underneath it. And then it's there as an aesthetic component, obviously. And from the ground, you're not going to see whether a tile's been glued or not. So it's a better fix, and it doesn't require us to have a roofing permit to do that kind of work, or a roofing license, which I've maintained that I do not want to get a roofing license, because I just don't want anybody to conflict or think that I'm possibly trying to sell them something other than expertise and good advice that's in their best interest.
Okay, great. So you can basically service any type of roof, any type of building. Is that the case? Commercial, condo, residential?
Yep. And if I can't climb on it, we'll at least get the drone on it. But it's pretty rare that I can't get on a building.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thanks. Thanks so much for speaking to us today, Drew. And while I made a joke of it, I appreciate you bringing the number one, the insurance expiration for Irma coming up, but also kind of putting our focus on what's coming up, because I think right now we're all so mired in the COVID that looking ahead to hurricane season, we're just kind of burying our head in the sand. So it's good to get out of that and start looking ahead. And I appreciate you bringing that to the forefront. And thank you for speaking with us today. And on the screen here is your email address. Is there a phone number that people can get a hold of you?
Sure. My office number, 305-814-0552. Or they can call my cell, and I've had a cell for so many years, I don't remember where I got this number, but it's 847-774-2299. And I do remember I was working in Chicago in 2002, and I started doing condominium roofing, and I decided I was going to give every homeowner my cell phone number, and I would never change my cell phone number, so that even if 10, 20 years down the road they had a problem, they knew how to get a hold of me. So.
Well, that's commitment.
That's why I don't have a 239 number, but I live right here in Fort Myers, and our company's based right here in Fort Myers, and our home service area is Collier, Lee, and Charlotte counties, but we also do a lot of work into Sarasota and even Dade, go across to Dade, Palm Beach, Broward, and up to Tampa, St. Pete area as well.
Well, awesome. Thanks so much, Drew. And thank you to everybody for partaking and listening to our webinar series today. And if there's anything that you need as far as management or COVID-19 materials, please feel free to give me a call. I'm Alex Turner. I'm at 239-207-5774. And we wish everyone a safe and healthy day. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alex.